hope you're well. I am going to share my September favorites today. Today is the last day of the month and I am super excited because there are so many beautiful colors, and I think what I have noticed in terms of color palette is that it has changed so much how I navigate through a color palette each month. So in the previous years, I would think of autumn and I would think of, more kind of red tones but dulled down and that sort of a thing. And I would feel that it would be inappropriate to use brighter colors. Something like that would not really be associated with autumn. This color would associate with spring because it's fresh, it's vibrant, it's like a beginning of a new season. But I have become so much more open towards mixing colors that are season appropriate, as well as with bringing colors in, pulling colors in that really jazz the whole thing up. So you will see that in this month's color palette. Also, before I begin, one thing I wanted to mention in Natasha Newton's, I think one of the very recent videos, she put up quite a few of these colors. So the, like the super vibrant and fluorescent pinks with these what are they called, chartreuse type of yellow greens and things like that, and I was just drooling over it because those are the colors I was in to this month. And the fact that she also showed a few of those colors, I love them so much, and I feel that in many ways, Natasha, if you're watching, I feel like you're my color buddy. We somehow telepathically connect through color, which is just the most amazing thing. We never talk about it. We never share to each other what colors we are into. I just noticed this other color here which would work so well. This one is the only pencil that doesn't have the name for it, so I always have to look it up. In fact, I should take like a white pen or something and write it on here maybe. Anyway, this color might be very good for, yeah, it's the perfect color here. Okay, so let's start with the swatches. I have a number of things this time. So we have here Rowney FW Acrylic Ink. We have a shimmer ink, which is by Diamine. This is Cacao Shimmer, and look at this gorgeousness. It's a brown chocolate ink with this most scrumptious and luxurious and beautiful gold. And look at that, it's starting to get into the ink and it's just the most beautiful thing. So those were the colors I was really enjoying, as well as watercolor wise. I have two watercolors to share this month. I have a Winsor Newton Opera Rose, and then I have a Leaf Green by Mission Gold Mijello. Beautiful color combo. This is actually a color combo I always loved for like flowers and things like that. Years back, this was like my thing, and I really love it. Then we have two gouache paints, so Winsor Newton Designer Gouache in Pale Rose Blush and Opera Rose. So again, you'll see a difference of the watercolor versus a gouache, so that's quite a neat little effect that you can get from different mediums the same color. And then I have two colors from the gouache by Holbein. This is the Acryla Gouache. So we have just a pure gouache paint here, and this is a hybrid between gouache and acrylic. So in effect, we have acrylic ink, watercolor, gouache, and then we have gouache/acrylic paint. The colors are mustard and wine red this month for me. And then the pencils that I picked were Faber Castell. This is Cadmium Yellow Lemon. I had this pencil really long time, and it was one of the first pencils that I bought from Polychromos, and it is a beautiful chartreuse type of a green yellow color. Then of course we have green ochre, which is a more muted, kind of like a, you know, green gold, so that would be a good comparison. In fact, I might have a look if I want to swatch a watercolor in this color as well. And then the color that I just saw here, I will try to, it seems like an older pencil or something, because you can see it doesn't have the same writing, so it looks slightly different. So the top pencil is the pencil that you would get now, and this I'm not sure what that is, but it doesn't have the name on it, so I'll try to put it somewhere here. Okay, so let's start with a darker color. So we have the Rowney FW Antelope Brown. Now this is a very, very interesting ink. In the bottle it looks like a khaki or military type of muddy green color, but once you start painting with it, it just pulls out the most interesting greeny browny type of colors. So this is why I love FWs. They're just a lot of fun. So basically you can see, I'll leave this little bit here just to compare it, and then it goes into this lovely green, or like a beautiful kind of slightly green tinted mustardy brown type of color. So I'm going to actually drop just a little bit here on this side and try to pull it out slightly more, so we have a nice bit of a contrast. So now, before I go ahead and show you the other colors, I also have some favorite color combos, which I will also show you. So this ink is not just beautiful and interesting on its own, but it actually is a very versatile color to have, because you can actually mix it with any color that comes to your mind, and you will create really lovely mixes. So I'll show you a few of my favorites. In case you wonder what sketchbook this is, I just started the new one I bought. This is the Jackson's, same one as you know I have been loving. So in this format, this is my second one already, and it's exactly the same, just a different, bigger format. And I decided it was the perfect timing to start it, because it's always, you know, how do you start a sketchbook? And I just thought I'm going to go for it and just have a color inspiration here. So here is Antelope Brown on its own, and then here is what it looks like with fluorescent pink. Very beautiful combination. It creates the most unexpected peachy colors, which are just quite scrumptious. I mean, they are beautiful in so many ways, because when you look at them you can pick up the brightness of the fluorescent pink, but there's also a bit of that muted color of the brown that when you layer them together, they overall look like a really beautiful warm peach. Then Process Magenta, that was also very interesting, because Process Magenta on its own looks like this, and then you can create quite dark warm browns as well as really interesting deeper reds. So I really liked these pinks or reds that I could mix. I thought that looks really interesting. And another good thing to mix it with, or good color to mix it with, is a yellow color. So you can experiment with your yellows. You can go all the way to cool toned yellows and also to warm toned yellows, and you can bring out more yellow in this color, and it just kind of makes it more luminous almost. Then we have Burnt Sienna. This particular one is System 3, so also from Rowney. All of these colors are from Rowney FWs except for these two, which are System 3, and it's their student grade acrylic inks. So here's the color on its own, and again mixed throughout it creates a more richer browns. warm toned browns, which I thought is also really beautiful. Then we have flash tint. I thought to try it also with some non-transparent inks, so, or colors rather. So these are quite opaque. So we've got this one and that one. They're really opaque colors, and you can create some also interesting colors. But I noticed one thing with the opaque colors, there isn't really that much variety that you can get with other transparent acrylic inks. You kind of get maybe 2 or 3 max color variants, and the rest just start to become very similar, very kind of repetitive throughout. So you'll see the same thing. I couldn't pull out any more variety here. They kind of look almost the same, like these 3 and these sort of very, very close together. Another thing you can try is go through your blue tones and try mixing beautiful greens. You get some really interesting greens mixing Antelope Brown with blues, and all the way from kind of like your muted turquoise to slightly brighter, and then even sub green. I thought this was a good kind of like olivey green, sub green type of color, and this was the turquoise color. Did I say this is portrait pink? So this is portrait pink, and this is flash tint, which I think has been renamed into something peach. Again, I'll put the info here. And finally, another color that was really interesting to mix with is the Payne's Grey. So Payne's Grey on its own is like that, and with a touch of Antelope Brown, you get an interesting tonal change. And again, I couldn't get too many different varieties because I then went into this color, which is almost quite similar to this color and actually not too far from the original. So yeah, but with a little bit of Payne's Grey, you get this beautiful, more warm toned of a grey. And that's that. So here we go, a little close-up for you. My favorite, if I had to pick, I'd say it would be the burnt sienna mix, the fluorescent pink, process magenta, brilliant yellow, and Payne's Grey, I'd say. But I love all of them pretty much. I didn't fancy them as much with the opaque colors. And I think for a blue you could get some more interesting greens if you started mixing other colors in, so maybe a little bit of burnt sienna into this, or maybe a little bit of Payne's Grey. You'd get more kind of more complex mixes, and that would be beautiful. Having said that, I really fancy this muted turquoise that I got from this color palette. Okay, so let's go back to swatching, and you can see when they dry really interesting as well. They don't have a flat look to them. They have all these beautiful blooms that they settle into. They're just really, really, I mean, amazing product. Okay, let's do Cocoa Shimmer. Now, with this ink, the Diamine ink, you see, it doesn't take much time at all, literally seconds, and the gold picks up from the bottom of the bottle really, really, really quickly, and there you go, you're already done. So that's what I really like about them. Some products that have shimmer can take forever to mix up and, you know, get them going, but not with this one. So I'm just going to use a slightly damp brush, but clean, get in there and just get as much of this beautiful vibrant chocolate ink. I mean, it's sort of glowing off the page now, isn't it? It's beautiful. So I'm going to pull out a little bit just to show you the lighter color variety. Also keep in mind the darkest part of it is actually where you will see the shimmers most. So I want to keep some of it. And once it dries, we'll see the shimmers. It's also very, very beautiful skin tone for darker skin tones. Okay. So let's do watercolors next. Again, this is Opera Pink or Opera Rose rather. I really like the tone of this Opera Rose. Keep in mind it's also quite difficult to show the fluorescent colors on videos in their sort of real color representation, because cameras can't pick it up. The fluorescent colors just get a bit changed. Okay, so leaf green, this is by Mijello Mission Gold. Lovely color. You can see there's like half of the tube left. I really have enjoyed it. I have used it in like botanical paintings, and what I like about it is sort of it's quite thick and it can be quite opaque, so you can almost use it like gouache paint if you wanted to, but then it pulls out to this beautiful green color, which I really like, because some similar colors they can pull out to a more yellow toned, and this one does not. It's just really beautiful. So I'll leave it at that. Then let's look at gouache. So we have Designer's Gouache in Pale Rose Blush. This is a more recent addition and I absolutely love it. It's the most perfect peachy gorgeousness. So I'm going to pack it on like gouache should be, in my opinion. And I find them quite stable, these gouache paints. Okay, so now let's do the Opera Rose. So in fact it's the same thing. This is Winsor Newton Opera Rose in watercolor, and this is Opera Rose by Winsor Newton in gouache. So I'm trying to get quite an opaque swatch here, because that's the reason I added this color to my collection. I didn't want it to be like a watercolor type of effect. So I wanted it to be quite sort of full on. Then we have Gouache Acryla by Holbein. This is color mustard. So it's a lovely color, somewhere in between a yellow, a mustard, a chartreuse. It sits quite nicely there. And because it's a gouache acryla, it actually has it dries really matte, so you'll see that. Now with this paint, I really like it. Again, quite full on, very minimal water. I want it to be super opaque, and I find that the more paint and the less water you use with these paints, the better they look. Then we have wine red. So now this is going to be a bit of a red color. It's very intense, super beautiful. There we go. And now we have some pencils left. Okay, so in terms of pencils, I have got Polychromos in cadmium yellow lemon, and I'm going to create a large swatch, because I think when I do my pencil swatches they're usually quite small, probably hard to see. So these are oil-based pencils. So how beautiful is that color? Really, really beautiful. And then we have two of the water-soluble green ochre. Actually, let me do this one next to the one that's a mystery color. So here's what it looks like on its own, without any water. Okay, so my fourth memory card got full and I didn't notice. So hopefully you didn't miss out on too much. This is basically this color here, and then the final one that I have is green ochre. So as you can see, this color palette is quite vivid and bright, although we do have some darker colors here. But this color works so well here, and it's a color that I love using throughout the year, but particularly in the autumnal month. So I'll just pull out some like that. And I think just for fun, I'm actually going to pick a few of the gold green colors just to swatch them next to each other, just to give you a little comparison. I think that would work also quite nicely here.